Last night, shockwaves were sent around the world when news broke that Liam Payne, member of one of the biggest boy bands in history, had tragically passed away at only 31 years old. And what made it even more hard for people to believe is that reports were saying that it was from a fall from a hotel balcony in Argentina. Now, in the hours following, we now do have confirmation of the cause of death and, unfortunately, some troubling information surrounding the last moments leading up to the incident. Now, this also includes a pretty eerie video of his ex-fiancée talking about his death just 2 days ago on a podcast. Now, just a warning, what we're going to cover does contain some themes of suicidal thoughts and struggles with mental health. But with that being said, here's what we know so far. Okay, so what we know is that Liam was staying in Argentina with his girlfriend since the beginning of October to attend a concert by his former bandmate, Niall Horan. And this was actually his second time because he did the same thing back in May when he went to Argentina to support a concert by Louis. Now, earlier this month, Liam posted a Snapchat saying that it's been a while since me and Niall have spoken. We've got a lot to talk about and I would like to square up a couple of things with the boy. Not bad vibes or anything like that, we just need to talk. Now, when he went to the concert, everything seemed fine, everything seemed good. You know, he was seen dancing, enjoying himself, and he even took what seemed to be a happy selfie with the two of them saying reunited with a heart. And even in the days leading up to the incident, he was posting on Snapchat talking about the concert and enjoying the sights in Argentina. And this casual, happy appearance, at least online, seemed to lead all the way up until, a couple of days before the incident. Now, when reports first broke, they claimed that these Snapchats in particular were taken just hours before his death. But now we have more information and it's believed that they were actually taken a couple of days ago and then they were shared up until around an hour before his death. So this video, which was used a lot where Liam was talking about how what a lovely day it was in Argentina and that he was going to play polo, was when his girlfriend was still there with him. And she actually posted videos of her leaving Argentina back to America, Florida, which is why Liam went from that place, which was apparently their friend's house, and checked into a new hotel without her. Now, unfortunately, this is the hotel which will now be infamous forever, because on the evening of October the 16th around 5 p.m. local time, things took a very dark turn. Eyewitnesses reported him smashing up a laptop in the hotel lobby and behaving aggressively, which actually led the hotel management allegedly to call 911. Now, there were even reports by TMZ that he was carried back to his hotel room, but those claims are yet to be verified. I will talk about TMZ in a second because they are getting huge backlash right now for the pictures that they made public. Now, in just the last couple of hours, this 911 call has actually been made public, and they talk about a guest who appears to be off his head on drugs and alcohol, and that they wanted police to arrive because they feared for his safety. And they even specifically mentioned that there was a balcony in his room. Have a listen.
Bueno,
tenemos un huésped que está sobrepasado de droga y alcohol y cuando está consciente está rompiendo toda la habitación y necesitamos que manden a alguien, por favor.
Bajo efectos de alcohol y estupefaciente, ¿no, señor?
Sí, correcto. Y necesitamos que nos envíen a alguien urgente porque, yo no sé si corre riesgo la vida del huésped. Está en una habitación que tiene balcón y estamos un poco con temor de que haga algo.
Now, unfortunately, before police could even arrive, the exact thing that management worried about that could happen happened. It's currently believed that he fell from the third floor of the Casa Sur Hotel, which is about a 45-foot drop. Alberto Crescenti, who is the head of the Buenos Aires Emergency Services, said Mr. Payne had a cranial fracture on the base of his skull and extremely serious injuries that led to his immediate death. He added that our role was to head there quickly, give medical attention, and try and resuscitate him, but his injuries, when we got there, were incompatible with life. And while we may now know the cause of death, we still don't really know a lot about the circumstances of, how he fell, whether that be accidental or intentional. Now, in saying that, there are also reports from Clarence, which is a news outlet in Argentina, and they posted pictures of his alleged hotel room, but because these pictures are yet to be officially verified, and they show some pretty shocking things like a smashed up TV and some substance abuse, I won't be showing them here until I know for sure that they are legit. Now, as his fans started surrounding the hotel, his body was taken away in a red ambulance for an autopsy, and an investigation by police is being carried out. out. But sadly, things only get more tragic from here, because this incident actually happened in a pretty troubling past few weeks for Liam. One in particular, which was being played out in the public's eye, was with his ex-fiancée, Maya Henry. Liam and Maya were together from 2019 until 2022. And in May this year, she released a book called Looking Forward, which she said was inspired by true events from their relationship. And from what we know, Liam and other people around him really didn't want this book to be released. Now, in the fictional novel, the characters' names were changed from Maya to Mallory, and from Liam to 5 Forward. And if you're kind of wondering, like myself, why this was written in a fictional manner, she said this.
A lot of people were like, the whole fiction argument. So some of the things that fictionalize the book are obviously the name changes. Some of the cities are different. Like I say, I'm from Tennessee in the book when I'm from Texas. Some of the timelines are a bit skewed. And then also, for example, another big point was people were like, this can't be about Liam. Because when I was talking about the abortion, he said, I'm not ready for a kid. And in real life, that's obviously not the case. But for privacy reasons, I just wanted to leave stuff like that out of my book and just tell my story. So that's kind of like why it is fiction. Because if you do something that's nonfiction, everything has to be so factual and you can't leave anything out. And obviously there are a lot of things that are worse that I did leave out. So it is fiction inspired by true events.
Now, in this story, the character Mallory does face multiple instances of domestic abuse, including verbal abuse and violence from her boyfriend 5 Forward, including a part where she is pushed to have an abortion that she didn't want herself. But then, just 2 days ago, on Monday, she goes on a podcast called The Internet is Dead, and she starts to speak about the troubles about this book's release. She said before she was about to publish, Liam would call her and ask her not to, saying he won't be around much longer. And then apparently even one of his friends called her and said this.
Like, for example, when I announced my book, he did the same thing. He called my mom. I think I'm not going to be around much longer. And I don't play with death. So I'm like, if you say this, I'm going to try and help you no matter what you've done. And I think he took advantage of my family's kindness. And I was like, if you want to go back to rehab, I'll help you. My book was coming out. Even one of his friends was calling me and my mom being like, oh, this isn't a good time for him. I don't think you should put the book out. He's not doing well. And if something happens to him, not only are you going to blame yourself, but the whole world's going to blame you. And so I was like, just the fact that they just keep trying, I'm like, it is like you said, such a low manipulation tactic.
Now, she said at the time she believed that these were manipulation tactics and that they were all to prevent her from speaking out about the alleged abuse she suffered, saying, if you're going to sue me over something that's actually true, I'm not going to let you stop me from using my voice. And even in the days before Liam's death, Maya was actually taking legal action, issuing a cease and desist letter, accusing him of repeatedly contacting her through multiple phone numbers and fake accounts. And she also claimed that he was harassing her family and her friends. Now, it goes without mentioning the timing of this podcast was not ideal. And obviously this morning, some people have begun attacking her, while others are also defending her, saying that she could never know that this was about to happen and she had nothing to do with his passing. But moving on from that, another tragic element to all of this was that Liam has spoken about his troubles with his mental health for years. And even in a 2019 interview, he said that he'd thought about ending things multiple times.
There's times where that level of loneliness and people getting into you every day, like I say, just every so often you're like, when will they send? And then so that's almost nearly killed me a couple of times.
He even went as far as speaking about how his alcoholism began, because he said that the team in charge of the One Direction band would actually lock them in hotel rooms to guarantee their safety when they were on tour. He said, from the outside it looked like we could do whatever we wanted, but we were locked in. We would go from the car to the hotel, get on stage and sing, and then go back to the confines. He said, and what's in a hotel room? A minibar. So I was just like, I'm gonna drink by myself, and that stayed with me for many years of my life.
When we were in the band, the best way to secure us, because of how big it got, was just lock us in our rooms. And of course, what's in the room? Minibar. So at a certain point, I thought, well, I'm going to have a party for one. And that just seemed to carry on throughout many years of my life. And then you look back, how long you've been drinking and stuff, where you're like, Jesus Christ, that's a long time. Even for someone who's, as young as I was. It was wild. But it was like the only way you could get frustration out in the day, or being trapped. And you know, I spoke to somebody about this and
I mean, there has been so many sad examples with tragic endings of these kids getting so much money and so much fame so young that it really wrecks their mental health. And on top of that, you have to deal with what I imagine to be an unbearable amount of opinions and criticism from, you know, people and the media. And unfortunately, like Liam was open about and so many others before him, some turn to alcohol and drugs as a way of suppressing or coping with these mental health issues, which, as we all know, only makes things worse. And talking about the media, TMZ, I mean, as we all know, have a pretty big reputation for crossing personal boundaries when it comes to celebrities. But last night, they went as far as posting pictures of portions of his body online after breaking the news. Now, of course, I don't need to explain why, but there was so much backlash from people after they saw this that they have since removed these images from their websites. But as we all know, not really that simple. You know, once you've posted something to the internet, kind of just stays there. And I mean, that right there is really indicative of some of these struggles that he was talking about. You're just a regular kid and you get thrusted into, you know, being extremely famous and in this entertainment industry, which we're only finding out now about all the horrific elements to that side of things. I mean, I'm surprised any kids get out of that situation mentally unscathed. And that's the real struggle when people become super famous, especially like, you know, individuals like Liam. There becomes this disconnect where they almost become these fictional characters instead of real human beings, which often leads to things, as we've seen, being taken way too far. And that's not like, oh, poor celebrities, they have to deal with so much fame and money. It's more just like psychologically, that can really mess you up. And tragically, Liam is only the latest example of how badly that can end. But honestly, in saying all of this, our thoughts right now are with his 6-year-old son, his mother and father, his siblings, his best friends, his girlfriend of 2 years, and the millions of fans he has around the world that loved him. But that is it for the video today. I'm sure a lot of new information will come out in the coming days, so I'll keep you guys updated.